I recently watched Dr. Dolittle for the first time as an adult. I couldn't really remember it as a child, so I watched it as an adult, considering it the first time I've seen it really, and I loved it. A few people said that the second film wasn't very good. Some people really liked it. So I waited, I think it was a couple of weeks, so I could get the first film of my system, and then I watched Dr. Dolittle 2. And I have to say, I think the rating of 4.7 out of 10, which is the average rating on IMDb, is a pretty fair rating. This was released in 2001, 20 years ago. Directed by Steve Carr, written by Larry Levine, or Levin. And needless to say, this stars Eddie Murphy as Dr. Dolittle, who is a character that I absolutely love. We obviously have Raven-Symone as Charisse, and Kyla Pratt as Maya, and Kristen Wilson as his wife Lisa. And, you know, all of the characters in this I love. They're as fantastic as they are in the first film. As a family unit, they work really well. Obviously, what's very different about this is straight away we know Dr. Dolittle can talk to animals and animals can talk to him. And I guess you kind of need the knowledge of the first film. This is not one of those sequels where you can fully grasp the character or what's happened unless you've seen the first film. But that's not a problem. I'm assuming most people have seen the first film if they're considering watching this. The way he interacts with the animals, I love. The fact that it's narrated by Lucky, the family dog again, is something that I really like. And to be honest, as a character, I just... Oh, ignore that laptop sound. I absolutely love him. I think he's brilliant, very sweet. But the main crux of the narrative, I did not like. Dolittle has been asked, or rather he volunteered, but the animals asked him to help. But he volunteered to help rehabilitate a bear back into the wild. This bear has been a performing bear, a show bear, and that's the life the bear has known. And once Dolittle starts to talk to this bear, it becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly that the bear is comfortable with that. But now he is being returned to the wild, and Dolittle must help to rehabilitate him. Obviously, this bear is very much confused about everything that is expected of him, confused about the other female bear. The reason he's being rehabilitated, by the way, is because he is an endangered species. I don't know why they didn't, unless they don't have a female bear elsewhere in the world in captivity where they could mate them, I don't know. That would have made more sense than putting a show bear into the wild where he is not going to understand his prey or how to capture food. But that's Dolittle's job. And needless to say, being able to talk to the bear is going to make it a lot easier than if the bear was just dumped there with no clue of why or what was happening. But the bear is still reluctant, and there are pitfalls, and obviously Dolittle's there to help him overcome them. That, to me, got old really quickly. I was very interested in the initial reveal of how the bear would react once he realised he was being dumped into the wild, and how he would perceive his surroundings. He's got a great personality. I love that he offers to do a performance or, you know, entertain in some way. But once you kind of got over that initial concept, I grew tired of it. There wasn't enough variety in the talking animals. One of the great things about the first film is you name an animal, it's there. Dolittle interacts with all kinds of animals. And yes, it does focus on a lion for a large chunk of it. It's not the entire film. But this one very much just feels like a one-on-one with Dolittle and the bear. And I just got tired of it. I wasn't emotionally invested in this bear. Obviously, I wanted the best for him, but I just wasn't that bothered. Whereas with the first film, The Lion, oh my goodness, very much emotionally invested. It made me well up quite a bit. So it's not a bad film. As a sequel, they have retained some of the good things about the first film, but they jettisoned some of the things that I think made it particularly unique and exciting in favour of a longer, more in-depth storyline with one individual animal. Not the worst decision. You know, in terms of the narrative development, it works. The characters' actions are believable. I just personally didn't find it that interesting. It's not so bad that I'm not going to go and watch the third film, which I believe is headed by Kyla Pratt. I think it is Maya is our protagonist in that one. So I'm looking forward to it because I think it'll be quite a lot different, even though I've heard some pretty bad things about it, but never mind. Ultimately, Doctor Dolittle 2 is not amazing, but it's not terrible. It's a pretty average sequel.